Guys, so today we're making this delicious coconut rice with Jamaican style stew, and this is super delicious. You definitely want to try this out. So without any further ado, let's get straight into the video. All right, to produce the stew, we're going to need some carrots chopped, one tomato and a red bell pepper chopped, both green onion as well as regular onion chopped as well, and of course a Scotch bonnet. There is nothing Jamaican without Scotch bonnet in it. Then we're also going to need chicken. Of course, I advise you use boiling chicken or hard chicken. It's definitely want to have the bone on your chicken because it makes it a lot more tastier. And then we're going to need some apple cider vinegar, some salt to taste, also some freshly ground ginger. If you don't, then ground ginger powder is fine, some paprika as well, some black pepper, and the rest of our spring onions to garnish our meal. We are also going to need some thyme and also a little bit of sugar. As far as the rice go, of course, you're going to need some rice, and you're also going to need a can of coconut milk. So to begin, we are going to grind our black pepper. You want to be careful in terms of how much black pepper you add to this, because remember, we're going to add the chopped Scotch bonnet as well. So there is my black pepper, and in a bowl goes the chopped Scotch bonnet, some thyme, and then some ginger paste, paprika, and the black peppers, as well as the chopped up green onions. Then to that, we're going to add some salt. You can add as much or as little salt as you prefer, and a little bit, probably 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar, and we're going to give this a good mix. So this is going to make sort of like our marinade for our chicken, and it's going to give the stew a lot of flavor. Do not underestimate what this is. This is super flavorful, and I've been on a mission to try to avoid using Maggi cubes in my seasoning these last few weeks, so I was super glad to have found something that could work and be very tasty. So as you can see, I am adding my chicken to the bowl, and I'm gonna marinate it really well. Ideally, you want to do this the night before, keep it in the fridge, or at least 4 hours before you're ready to begin the cooking process, so that the chicken is nice and flavored, so that the flavors get a chance to really marry into the chicken, so you get a very tasty chicken when you prepare your stew. So I'm just covering that up with saran wrap, and in the fridge it goes. Okay, after some time, 4 hours or overnight, depending on when you're doing it, you want to add some oil to your pan, and then you want to kind of brown the chicken slightly. I'm using my Dutch oven. If you have a Dutch oven, I highly recommend you use that, just because the distribution of heat with Dutch ovens is really even. So after some time, as you guys can see, my chicken is brown, and I've got that really lovely brown flavorings right at the bottom of the pan there. And to that, we're going to add some onions, our chopped onions, and we're going to saute the onions. We want the onions to brown up a little bit, and then after they're done browning a little bit, we're going to add a teaspoon of sugar. Do not overdo the sugars, because the veggies that we're going to use is going to be quite sweet. You know, carrots is sweet, bell pepper's quite sweet, so you don't want to overdo the sugar. Just a teaspoon. And then keep mixing that until it's nice and brown. And then to that, we're going to add some low sodium chicken broth, if you can find some. Do not skip the chicken broth parts, guys, otherwise it's not going to work. We're also going to add some ketchup, if I forgot to mention. Don't worry, I'll have the list of ingredients in the description box down below. I'm going to add some ketchup and freshly chopped tomatoes and give that a good mix. And then we're going to cover that up and let that simmer for a few minutes. As you guys can see, it's nice and simmery, and the smell was just incredible. I would also advise you add a couple of bay leaves at this point, and also your leftover seasoning from what you used to season the chicken. And then in goes my carrot, the bell peppers, and then in goes our chicken. So we're going to leave our chicken in here, and it's going to cook on medium to low heat for about an hour and a half at least, depending on how much you're making. But definitely you want to leave the chicken in until it is fully cooked. Remember, our chicken wasn't cooked in the beginning. We just fried it so we can get some browning going on. So yeah, an hour and a half seems to be a good amount of time for everything to kind of cook really well, for the chicken to become really soft, because remember, this type of chicken is quite hard. Then we're going to move on to making our rice, and it's just really simple. To make our rice, you have your rice, water, salt as per usual. And then what is really going to take this to another level, give it really lovely aroma, is coconut milk. So we add 1 can of coconut milk to our rice, give it a good mix. I highly recommend you make this rice in the way that you see me making it here. I add a little bit of oil to the rice, give it a good mix, and then leave it on low heat to cook. I also recommend you use water from the kettle, boiled water, to make this, so that your rice cooks evenly, because remember, it is steam that cooks rice and not high heat. So after about 20 minutes or so, my rice is ready. As you can see, the little bit of oil just helps to make sure your rice isn't sticky. So I added a little bit of olive oil to that, and you can see this rice beautifully cooked, wasn't burned at all. In the meantime, you can see my stew there. It is simmering nicely. At this stage, if there's too much oil in your stew and you want to remove the excess oil, you can do that. There's also in the recipe, the original recipe, should I say, should be adding at this point brown sauce to it, but I couldn't find any brown sauce, so I'm just going along with what I have at home. And irregardless, guys, this is super delicious, and I do have an obsession with Jamaican food because they do not back down on the flavor. Jamaican foods usually packed with flavor, so thank you to the people of Jamaica for inspiring this dish. It was super delicious. So I was just checking there to make sure my veggies were nice and cooked, and once they were, I was happy with that. It was time to serve my meal. Okay, and let me tell you, your kitchen is going to be smelling incredible. Be careful on the pepper though, okay? If you overdo it with the pepper, it's going to be really hot, and if your kids are going to eat this, they might not be able to. So take it easy with the amount of pepper that you use. But otherwise, this was super delicious, guys, super delicious. And I garnished it a little bit with some extra fresh green onions, and like I was doing the food dance as I was tasting this, because it was so delicious and really easy and simple to make with ingredients that you probably already have in your pantry. Like, this is the type of food that I love to make, something that I can just whip up quickly in the kitchen. The only thing that takes time is just marinating the chicken, which, like I said, if you do it the night before, it saves the hassle. So yes, this is super delicious. You can also throw in as many vegetables as you like, some potatoes, whatever type of vegetables you want to add to this, you can. Super delicious, a lovely dinner idea, and you can also serve as lunch for the next day if you're working. And that is today's meal. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this video. If you've enjoyed it, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.